Welcome to Money Conversations with KJ. KJ is a lifelong entrepreneur who's made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, and found his way back again. If you're looking for a sterile how-to, you're in the wrong place. KJ and his guests will walk you through real-life situations told by the people who live them, and they are as messy as they are inspiring. Each episode will offer lessons learned, advice on how to replicate successes and avoid pitfalls, and a new perspective to power your financial literacy. Far from a one-size-fits-all, this podcast can help you build a roadmap to your personal promised land. Milk and honey for some, whiskey and steak for others, and remind you that you're not alone on this journey.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm KJ, your host. Today, I got a very good friend of mine in here in the studio today that we're going to talk to, Mr. Tony Jensen. How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing great.
Welcome to the show. So, dude, I think it's steak and whiskey for you and me. What do you think?
For sure,
right? We're not that milk and honey kind of guy.
No.
So, anyway, let's, I brought Tony in here. I've known Tony now, I don't know, 15, 17 years, would you say?
Yeah.
And we've kind of seen each other financially, roller coaster up and down a little bit, but I know we've both learned a lot of things along the way. And I really think that the folks out there that are listening are going to learn some really good things of your journey. So I want to start with, Tony, that I'm going to skip around in your story as I know it. And let's go all the way back. I always want to know with most of the guests, like, tell us as far back as you can remember when money for you understood it, you know, because for a lot of us, it's pretty young, actually. And so for you, and we'll get into, I know where you went to school, and we'll talk to the audience about that and how that affected you. But how old were you when you really started thinking money was a tool?
I would have to say, well, let me think here.
I know it's hard to go back right. You got to think about, man, how old was I?
And I'm getting old too, so that's a long time ago. I'd have to say, with where I was thrown into, and you know my history, I would say 15 years old, I started to notice that there is a difference in how much money people made and how much people didn't make. So
let me ask you, like, when was your first experience with money, like doing some sort of a mowing lawns or newspaper route or whatever, when you made money, your first time?
Yeah, first time would be, my first job at 15 years old, really at McDonald's.
Yeah, so that was your first job, McDonald's.
That was my first legal job.
Right.
My other job was working for my uncle on the farm.
Okay, so you made money doing that.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's talk about that then. How old were you?
I was actually 13. Yeah, 13.
13, okay. Yep. So obviously you're working on the farm. They just pay you cash on the side. It's not a paycheck or anything, but it's money, right? And did you do that because you wanted money to buy things, or it was like, hey, my uncle said come work or whatever? What triggered you to go make money?
You know what? It was to buy things. I hated asking my parents for money because ever since I can remember, my parents knew that they had to teach me how to make money. So that's why my dad said, hey, you're going to go work for my brother. Even though my dad wasn't a farmer, obviously his brother was. And he said, you're going to go work for my brother in the summers when we come back from overseas where I was living. So For 3 months, I had to come and move pipe, with all the guys out there.
Manual labor.
Oh, very manual labor. It was a spud rose. And
so, but that's, I think, and I did that too when I was younger, right? And what did it do for you as far as work ethic and how you, obviously that's working hard for the money, you know what I mean? Versus like when you work, we'll talk about McDonald's in a minute, but that's two total different ways to make money.
Yep. So
I would think that gave you a good appreciation for money. What do you think?
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, you're talking 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
So, and that's, I was 13, 14 when at that age you're out with your friends and then you're home late, you go to bed late, and then you're waking up at 4:30. It was tough.
Yeah, it's funny because we think today, and I'm sure there's kids across, this country or the world somewhere that you still have to do that. But we know here in the U.S., it's pretty probably rare and in between that a
Very.
14-year-old is going to get up and do manual labor like that to go make whatever money that you're going to make, right?
Very rare.
But I think what do you think is the biggest takeaway that you learned from that experience?
You know, that it was easy to ask for $1,
Right.
to go work for $1. It made me really realize that when my parents said, "Hey, Tony, you're on your own," you know, I knew what they were doing.
Right.
They knew that work was where it was. And
So they were shaping you is what they were doing,
for sure.
trying to turn you into a young man.
For sure. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it, you know, not all the time.
Right.
Obviously, when you're a kid, you don't want to wake up at 4 a.m.
Right.
You know,
and
there's
go
the
out
fights.
there and
Oh,
work
yeah.
a farm, which is hard. So since you worked hard for your money, were you very frugal with it or not?
No, I was.
You
I
were?
was. Oh,
So-
well, when it came to what I felt was important, wasn't always important to my parents, what they thought I should be spending my money on.
That's typical.
Yeah.
That's typical
so-
kid stuff.
But that's why I worked. So I had my own choice and I could make my own decisions. And
So you had mentioned that, your dad, that was the direction your dad by design wanted you, hey, go work for me, but he wanted you to go experience manual labor evidently and what true hard work really meant. But talk to us about, and because I talked to a lot of people and I have on the board here, we want to talk about tradition, and tradition is like what your parents teach you about money. So what did mom or dad teach you at an early age and how early, and what did they teach you?
they taught me that, well, first of all, that they didn't want to be farmers. My dad was the first one to go out and actually get a college degree,
Okay.
and do what we're all told nowadays, I guess, or back in the day. Go get a college degree and, support yourself that way. So that's what he felt, and he did, and he got out of the farm world. So in a sense, he wanted me to know what the work ethic was, but then at the same time, he didn't want me to be a farmer. So, it was just...
Well, what kind of money lessons did he teach you? Because that's work lessons. That's like work ethic lessons, which are a great lesson, right, to have. And I know you do have good work ethic.
Yeah.
But what kind of money lessons? How to handle money? Where to put money? Did he teach you any of that?
No.
No. And it's okay. Listen,
it's funny,
this
yeah.
this is a very, very common theme that for whatever reason, parents aren't teaching kids about money, right? Because there may be, I think parents are thinking that we're all learning this in school, but we both know they don't teach it in school, right?
Yeah.
And so, 2020 hindsight, do you think you'd be in a different position today had you learned financial literacy at a younger age?
Oh, yes. I mean, every day I tell myself,
Right.
if I knew today what I knew when I
Right.
was 14,
Right.
I'd be a multimillionaire.
So, and that's what I like to talk about, guys, that it's okay. And we can't blame parents for not teaching us, because I have a saying that parents can't teach what parents don't know. And it's weird why they don't want to talk about money. I don't understand it. I mean, I talk money with my kids all the time, but I don't know if it was that generational kind of thing. But I definitely don't want to blame parents that didn't speak to their kids. But one of the things we have to recognize as adults now, and if you have kids, talk to your kids. It's important, and be proactive about learning about that stuff. Because let's go into, so you're 14, and then what? At what age were you when you went to McDonald's?
Yeah, 15.
15. You went to McDonald's, worked there. But how old were you? I know that because I know you spent some time overseas in school.
Yep.
How old were you when you went over there?
So we went over there when I was 10.
So tell the folks what happened.
No, just my folks, my dad was a civil engineer by trade, and, we moved a lot in the United States, around Idaho and Utah. And then all of a sudden my dad had an opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia when I was 10. So we moved to Saudi Arabia, and that was in 1981. It was great,
So what years of school did you go there?
I was there 5th grade to 9th grade. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and again, you can't compare because obviously you weren't here, but what do you think the difference was, the schooling over there, and you got girls here in their grades 5th to 9th? What do you think was the big difference? I mean, these are two different countries, cultures, everything, but maybe I don't know, is the education the same, or what would you say?
The education, well, they were American schools, but in Saudi Arabia. So when we left, obviously, the compound or the campus, then that's when the worlds were completely different. You had Muslim, Saudi, that was very isolated, and then you had the American tradition, which was very open and free. So money in Saudi Arabia, it was never talked about, just because they were given money from the king of Saudi Arabia, which is completely different. Plus, they don't, they obviously didn't have the opportunity they did here in the United States.
Right.
They did pretty much what the king told them to do. This is what you're going to do, and this is your job.
Right. So, I mean, you had friends, Muslim friends, all those friends, but you and the friends money wasn't really spoken, or, hey, do you have some money? Let's go out.
No. When we were there, it was more, we didn't have an opportunity to make money because you couldn't work. So that's when my parents, when we'd come back to the States for the summers for 3 months, we would have to work to know those work ethics.
Okay.
And then there, we didn't have that choice.
See, so I mean, that's really a unique culture, but that's their culture, right? And we're not here to judge them about it. But what it did for you, right? If you hadn't come back during the summers to work, there was, 5th to 9th grade, 5 years where you literally had no training with money whatsoever.
No.
It was definitely not.
No, it was a silver spoon.
It was a silver
That's what people tell me now. Oh, you were fed, you were the silver spoon, you were raised a spoiled kid.
Right.
And 9 months out of the year, really there was no choice. Yeah, everything was paid for, and the travel and the vacation and the trips. But when we came to the States, it was not a silver spoon.
Right. And so you got here, and so then you did all your high school years here.
Actually in Europe, in Switzerland.
In Switzerland, you did the high school.
Yeah, which is, sounds crazy too. And it wasn't, again, 9 months silver spoon. But then 3 months when we'd come back to the States, I was working McDonald's or working another job.
So you knew the mindset was, okay, you knew the rules of the game, basically. You're over in those countries with their laws, their culture. Like, young people underage don't make money here. We don't talk about money. And if you need something, you just ask for it and they give it to you, it sounds like.
Exactly. In the environment, I knew, and growing up, that there was the society where the kids never learn about money because they're going to be handed money, or they're going to have companies that they're handed. So,
what do you think the people out there listening to this story are saying?
Well, like everybody, when I talk to them, they're like, "What do you mean you went to high school in Europe and
because
Saudi Arabia?"
It's the opposite over here. Pretty much you're going to get your first whatever job, 9th, 10th grade, whatever, and we start making money because you want, better sneakers than mom or dad want to pay for or whatever, right? Yep. And over there they just give you that. So interesting. So you got here, and once you finally came back and stayed, was this kind of a culture shock?
Oh, very much so. I mean, all of a sudden, I'm in Idaho and Washington State, and my parents are still living abroad, and I'm living with a girlfriend, and I knew I had to get a job because I didn't tell my parents that I actually left college, because that was, that's what I was supposed to do, is go to school after high school to college.
So where did you learn or start to learn about really handling money the right way? And how old do you think you maybe were?
Yeah, I was really where I had to manage it, because my parents were completely out of the picture, was when I was 18. That's when I moved to Seattle.
That's pretty young.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Young to be on your own, and like you got to figure, it's like you had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right?
I was delivering produce, and I knew I had rent, and I had a girlfriend I had to support. She didn't work, so.
Were you proactive in learning about money and how to save the right amount of money, put money in certain accounts?
No.
You didn't know any of that?
No. It was make it, spend it.
Make it and spend it.
Yeah.
At what age did you figure out, I can't just make and spend money. I got to start investing, or I got to start putting money away in some sort of type of an account that's going to invest for me?
Yeah, it was probably college, my last couple years at UNLV at college.
What triggered that?
I would have to say education. I mean, just being with my mentors and my professors, I would be in certain classes, and they're like, guys, I know you're young, but at some point you've got to look into the future, not just the future of you working, but after you don't want to work. So that's probably when I started looking into different investment opportunities and how do you invest. And
which is a good, and again, I think everything you described is probably pretty average. Would you agree?
Oh yeah,
out there. But you just mentioned a word, and I've talked about this word before, mentor, right? And I think for a lot of, I'm going to use the word kids, but let's just say, 15 to 25 or whatever. It's very, when you had someone that was kind of, you're going to call your mentor. How did someone become your mentor? Did you ask somebody to be your mentor, or did they say, hey, let me mentor you? You look like you need help.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably that, but I mean, there's one instance for sure that it was in, what was it, 1995, I guess the year before I was graduating from college, that I had a professor that became a mentor. And, it was in that situation or in that time of life where I'm almost graduating from college. I was doing what I was told to do, and I had no clue what I wanted to do. So finally he's like, well, Tony, you're in human resource management, and you like to have conversation. You like to have relationships with people. Why don't you try sales? Why don't you go out and just do sales for 3 months? And at that point, I was doing a internship with our Citizens Area Transit. It's our mass transit system here in Las Vegas. And I was just sitting in front of people interviewing for bus drivers, and I hated it. I hated every minute of it.
Did you?
Yeah, for sure. And when he told me that, I'm like, you know what? I hate human resource management. I don't think I'm going to enjoy it. So he said, Tony, then don't do it. Get out there, get into sales. Go talk to people. You like to talk to people. If you make money doing that, why not?
Right.
So that's when
So he mentored you as far as trying to, because you hadn't figured out what you really wanted to do,
Yep.
as a career. So he mentored you on how to do that. Did he mentor you with money at all?
No.
No?
It was more
About the career.
Exactly.
Because it's funny, and I've talked to many people with mentors, and I've had mentors too, and mentors can mentor you in many different ways. So, for you guys that are listening out there, and you're like, all right, I'll go find me a mentor. And a mentor is many different levels. You can find multiple mentors, right? You could find a mentor that's going to talk to you strictly about money, not what you do for a living. You could find yourself a mentor that's going to say, hey, what are your skill sets? Let me, let's put you on the right track here where you're going to maximize whatever earnings you're trying to do. The point is, mentors can be a great resource for you guys out there. And don't be afraid. Did you ask him to be a mentor, or he just kind of put you under his wing?
Pretty much just put me under his wing.
So he just kind of took a liking to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But I know I have other people that I've talked to that, don't be afraid to ask for someone to be a mentor. Say, hey, you know what? You're a pretty smart guy, and, I kind of need some help. Would you mind, mentoring me for, a little while and get me on track, kind of thing? And, you'd be surprised. Most people are going to tell you, yeah, no problem. I'll help you out. It's not like mentors don't talk to you on a daily basis, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, hey, I'll talk to you, once a month, every other month, or, just they're going to have you do, you should try this, you should try that, do this, do that. Things that they know work through experience. So I think mentors can be a huge advantage in catapulting you, whether it's finances or direction of life or what you want to go. Right? What do you
for sure.
For sure.
No, for sure. Mentor, coach.
Because again, you're explaining your story, which is, it's just the same story. It's like, man, mom and dad aren't teaching us about money. And the compounding, the rule of 72, and like, man, you got to start putting money away right now while you're young, so you don't have to do it forever, kind of thing. Let's kind of switch tracks here for just a second. I know how you operate today, but when did you start operating where goals, right, were something that you really started implementing in your life?
I would say I was 30, 31, 32, I became a sales manager with Motorola. So I had people looking up to me now, and I had to manage that. And, I think that's probably when I was first really trying to understand it.
Right. So you had you were doing goals for work, right?
Yeah.
Because you're the manager, and you got parameters you got to follow, and you got to meet certain goals in business. What about personally?
Gotcha. Personal goals, gosh, it was funny. I usually concentrate on my sales guys' goals rather than my goals, thinking that if their goals were attained, my goals would be attained. But that was probably when I was around 35, 36, when I got into a real estate investment group, and they really understood why goals were important.
Right.
And that's really when I, was introduced to Tony Robbins and, all these guys out there,
Right.
That they blew my mind. When I started hearing these guys and how they could actually read my mind without me even knowing them.
Right.
And they know what I'm thinking. I'm like, wow, this is cool.
Right.
So then, that's when.
Well, you bring up a good point. I mean, Tony Robbins is definitely a great person to listen to for on multiple levels, right? Motivation, inspiration, teachings. I mean, the guy's just an amazing individual. And so I'm just thinking that you had mentioned you were somewhere in your early mid-30s then until goals. And again, like when we started talking, man, if we knew what we know today at 20 years old, what a huge difference. And so in my courses that I teach, goals are like a roadmap, and without having goals, so I'm talking to you guys out there, without having goals, it's like driving a car, blindfolded, right? Every time we get in our cars, there's a destination and you either know exactly how to get there or you're going to plug it in address into GPS and it's going to show you how to get there, right? And that's what a goal is, right? Hey, my goal is I want to buy a house. It's $X. I make $X. I mean, you got to figure out what that is. That's your goal. But how am I going to get there? Right? So the goal, reverse engineer your goals and you'll be able to reach them. But if you don't even have goals, you're flying blind. It's just like driving a car blindfolded. And God knows you wouldn't do that, right? So guys, when you're out there, it's important. I'll give you a statistic. Harvard did a study about goals back in 1979, right? They took 150 of their graduates and they asked them, how many of you have goals? How many of you write them down, right? And how many of you don't even have any? Yeah. And so it was only, let me think of the numbers. It's pretty astounding. 84% said they had goals. Only 3% wrote them down, and like another 5% just like, no, I don't have any goals yet, right? And they went and talked to them again 10 years later. And do you know that the people who actually wrote their goals down made 10% more money, 10 times more, not 10%, 10 times more money than the people who just said they had goals? So the importance of writing your goals down are extremely. So we can't just think about goals. I shoot this as my goal. That's my goal. No, we have to write them down. We have to read them on a regular basis. If you follow someone like a Grant Cardone, that guy writes his goals down every single day in the morning, at night, and reads them. And if you ever listen to him, he's funny because he writes goals down that he already assumes it happened. Yep. And he makes it happen. Here's a guy today that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars today, right? Because, he's a heck of a salesman and a big hustler. But, goals are huge. Do you write goals down now?
No.
No. You got to start writing them down, Tom.
Yes, I do.
I write them down all the time.
Yep.
And read them, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we could look now, 20 years in the future, looking back going, man, my life really shifted the minute I started writing my goals down.
Yep.
Right. And being grateful. That's another thing Tony Robbins really teaches a lot. Be grateful daily for every little thing. He's like, be grateful for the air you're breathing.
And it's free.
It's free. Right. So let's go down the path a little bit with the folks about investing, because it's great. We're all talking about financial literacy, the basics, learning. Investing, I want you to think of investing as the fuel to your future. Like if you got a car outside and it's got no gas in it, it ain't going nowhere.
No.
Right? The fuel for your financial, well-being is you investing your money. When did you learn about investing?
That's when I was introduced to real estate investing. The stocks, I had a vague introduction to that, and I bought some coaching stuff. Didn't stick to it, but when it really came to the real estate, and I realized that, I don't know, they say like 95% of the wealthy have made, most of their wealth, created most of their wealth through real estate. So obviously that's an attractive, way of investing. So I did that. I did that for 6 or 7 years, and they got caught. Got caught in 2008 with the big fallout.
Right.
And didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't understand the full gamut. So, but yeah, it was real estate. So
Yeah, there's so many things that we can invest in, guys, when you're out there. And investing in real estate is a very proactive type of investing. It's a very active investing. You could do passive investing if you just want to put money to work and open up yourself an IRA, Roth IRA. You know, if you got your 401k at work, that's investing. You know, you could buy some index funds. You know, all these things that we can do that are just passively. You know, you just kind of put the quarter in the slot and let it do its thing.
Yep.
Versus, you know, real estate investing is hands-on, getting out there.
Yep.
Although you can invest in some REITs, you know, out of the stock market. That's investing in real estate,
yeah.
right? That's just you're one cog in a big wheel that gets a little tiny piece of the action.
Yep.
And you know, like Tony says, a lot of folks definitely have created wealth through real estate. A lot of folks have created a lot of wealth through the stock market, and a lot of folks do both.
Yep.
Because both of them run in cycles.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's good to diversify your money, that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like you mentioned, 2008, you know, you took a big hit. I took a hit. A lot of folks took a hit in 2008.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a bad time.
Yep.
So thinking about investing, definitely you must do it. Do you invest today still?
Yeah. Well, now I'm doing more stock because the stock market's doing really well right now. So it's really just been about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I started it, and it's done well just because the stock's gone up, and I'm trying to find some coaching now through a source, through a buddy of mine that actually trains and teaches people how to two different types of stock investing and options and that type of thing.
So let's talk about, you're a dad, you got young girls. What you teaching them about money?
Not really.
No.
You know, I taught them to work. They've always worked.
They got good work
15,
ethic,
just like I was.
right? So look, see the commonality here. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? Your dad taught you 15. Go out there and learn, understand what working hard for your dollar means, so you can appreciate it and not blow your money.
Yeah.
So you taught the same lesson to your daughters.
You got me.
Yeah, but
now that I think about it.
But now, yeah, just right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and again, and so we have to get out there. I mean, you know what I've done with my kids, and we have to break that cycle. Otherwise, what do you think is going to happen that your kids are going to teach their kids?
They're going to go through the same crazy roller coaster.
Yeah, we got to teach them money. We got to really teach them how money works, how to handle money. Yep. Don't squander your money.
Yep.
Get your money. I think you and I both know we make investments now, and it's really exciting when you put $1 in and you get 4 or 5 out, right?
Yeah.
But if you've never done it, you can't get excited about something you never did.
Yep.
Right. And so I know when I teach my youngest one, Faith, she loves it. And she's like, I ain't spending no money because I'm making money over here. Right. They get really excited about it.
Yep.
Like turning 1 into 3 or 5 or whatever you can turn it into.
Yep.
So for you guys that are out there, man, 100%. If you could teach, whether it's your kids, your siblings, go talk to your aunts and uncles. I mean, we know that book out there, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that whole story, right?
Yep.
I think most everybody out there should know that story. It's a great book. It's sold millions of copies. If you've never heard of it or don't know what it's about, I highly recommend that you get that book, especially if you're in the ages between, I would say, 15 and 21.
For sure.
It could definitely change your mindset.
Yeah.
How important do you think mindset with money is?
Very. Yeah.
Right.
It's everything.
It's everything.
Oh, it's everything. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mindset. Well, it's key to everything. But when it comes to finances, or it comes to family, if it comes to either it's going to be a good day or a bad day when you wake up in the morning. So,
What would you give your 18-year-old self? What kind of advice would you give, looking back now, and you could go back there and talk to that 18-year-old Tony? What kind of advice would you give him?
Man, I guess
About money.
Yeah, about everything else. There's a lot of stuff.
Let's just talk about money.
Well, I mean, obviously, if I would have just put minimal $10, $15, $20 a week or $50 a month into something, what I would have today.
Right.
It actually makes me sad, but
well, again, listen, I love you said that, because some people out there think, man, I need a lot of money to go start investing. And is that the furthest thing from the truth?
No, it's yes.
Come on, you and I both know. I mean, start small, it doesn't matter. But if you're consistent, right? I don't care if you save $20 a week, right? And we can all save $20 a week, right? I teach, one of my lessons that I teach in the course is, it's not just my lesson, it's a lesson like Warren Buffett and Tony and everybody else will teach you. You know, you got to pay yourself first. So when you get your paychecks, there's nobody more important than you, right? And we're all going to have bills to pay. Pay yourself first.
Yeah.
You know, Warren Buffett says, well, how's it go? Pay yourself first, because don't spend money don't save money after what you've spent your bills on. Yeah. Save your money and what's left, pay your bills. Yeah. Right?
Exactly.
Because like you just mentioned, if you at 18 started saving 20 or $50 a month, 20 years later, 25 years later, you'd have a few $100,000 right now.
It would be great.
It would be good, right? On top of other investments that you're doing. So that's a big lesson out there. I think that why the rule of 72 compound interest is so important to understand.
Yes. That
it doesn't matter. It's like the trickling faucet will fill the bowl, right?
Yeah.
It may take a while, but it'll fill it.
Yep.
It'll fill it. So yeah, that's a great lesson to be out there. So it was interesting. Good takeaway here. That do you think that by being in those other countries, and those are prime years, young years, that helped you or hurt you with your mindset around money?
You know what? I make it go both ways. That I spent money and didn't really care about it because I didn't earn it when I was over there. But it's when I saw the wealth and the nice things that were in the world, it made me realize that, I did have to work hard. If I wanted to travel and I wanted to do what these people were doing all around the world, it was going to take money. You know, the rule is, money doesn't make, life happy, but, it helps. It gets you to Europe.
Well, I always say money gives you options. That's all it does. That's all money does. So the more money you have, the more options you have, right? So if your option is like, hey, I want to go to Europe for a vacation for whatever reason, enough money will give you the option to be able to do that.
Yep.
And to be able to have the mindset of understanding money works 24/7, 365. You and I work X amount of hours a day.
Yep.
We can't work 24/7, 365, nor do we want to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so I think until people understand that time is your most valuable asset, and everybody hears that, but they don't really understand it, I think.
Yeah.
Right? I think you can. What age do you think when you finally is like, man, all right, I get it now?
Yeah.
I mean, you were what, late 30s?
Yeah, I would say late 30s.
30s, till you kind of just like, oh, I get it now.
Yep.
It isn't just about how much can I make so I can go buy X, Y, Z.
Yep.
It's about no. It's bigger than that. I have to leverage time.
Yep.
I got to make.
It's all about time, especially when you get older. You start realizing time.
You're like, what?
It's not forever. Yeah.
What, I'm 40. What?
Yeah.
And it goes by fast, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I remember. Matter of fact, because Tony and I met when his oldest, my youngest, were in kindergarten.
Yep.
And now they're young ladies out there, 21, 22 years old. So, how fast did that go?
It's crazy.
Crazy fast, right?
Yeah. Graduating, this year from college.
Yeah.
From kindergarten to college. But it seems like it was just a day ago, which is crazy.
Right. It is.
If I would have taught him.
Well, you're still a dad. They're still, one's at home, not both, right?
Yep.
Still not too late. You got to teach them. I mean, my I have 3 older kids that I teach, right?
Yeah.
But they're hard to listen.
Yeah.
The youngest one, whatever you say, Dad, and she learned it, and she's in the best position so far.
Yeah.
Right? Because she listened, and for her, it's the norm now. And I think that's why, guys, for you guys out there listening, it's very important to get your financial literacy as early as possible. I have friends that teach their kids at 5 years old.
Wow.
I have a friend that teaches his 5-year-old knows how to trade stocks.
Wow.
Because he trades them professionally, right? So for him, that's what he does. And he taught his 5-year-old how to do it. And she has her own account. And she trades stocks. She gets it.
That's awesome.
The puts, the buys, the whole deal.
Oh.
I'm like, this kid's definitely going to be a millionaire.
For sure.
There's no two ways about it. And I know you know enough wealthy people. Do you think the wealthy teach their kids?
I doubt it.
They do teach them.
Yeah.
They do.
I guess so.
Or here's the thing. We understand that we watch our parents. Mm-hmm. So we know that your dad taught you to go work hard at 15 and you taught your daughter.
Yeah.
So what do you think the multimillionaire
It's true.
person is teaching their kids?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky kids.
It's not luck. It's just teaching.
Yeah. No,
You know what I mean?
It is.
I mean, it's again, and it's generational. And if we don't make a change, if our mindsets don't change, and that's why in my course, the first chapter is mindset, and it's the longest chapter because it's that vitally important. It's like the foundation of the house, right? If we don't have a good foundation of the house, you're building a house of cards, it's going to fall over.
Yeah.
So mindset is critical. Well, guys, I think that was a really good takeaway today we have with Tony. What do you think, Tone?
Yeah.
Anything you want to share with the people out there? Any good advice about money?
You know, it's never too late. I'll tell you that. If the younger, the better. But I'm telling you, the younger, the better. Just 20, 50, $100 a month, you can make that happen. And don't pull it out of the bank. Just keep it in there and be disciplined. Life will be a lot easier.
Great advice. Great advice. I think the key word there is discipline.
Yeah.
There's always an excuse to pull that money out, but don't do it.
Always.
Just lock it up. Lock it up. Don't worry about it. You will be 50 years old one day.
Yep, exactly.
So, well, great. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate you coming out and sharing your story. And hopefully the folks, well, actually, I know the folks learned some stuff out there. So, guys, listen, if you like what you heard, subscribe to my channel. Hit that like button if you're on YouTube watching this thing. Smash that like button and subscribe to that channel also. And don't forget, I put a new podcast out every single week. Every Wednesday, 7 a.m. a new one comes out. So we'll see you guys next week. Hey, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Really enjoyed making all these episodes for you. Remember, we're just having conversations with people's journey with money and the things they did right with it, the things that did wrong with it, and how did they really come about getting their mindset with money. So every episode's different. We all have a good takeaway from them. So do me a favor, hit the like button, smash the like button, and subscribe to my channel because every episode that I do is going to be different as all our journeys are different. So you guys take care, and we'll talk to you next week.